Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Maxx Chewning, and this is your weekly source for inspiring content from people who are putting a purpose to their passion and truly living a life ever forward. This is Ever Forward Radio. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you have had an amazing week. Today, this episode, this week, is something that I am extremely proud and excited to present to you all. This has been an interview in the making, for sure. Not only are we going to hear an amazing origin story, but you're also going to see another side of the Ever Forward family, the Ever Forward meaning, the origin behind those two words from another perspective that many of you may already know. But before we even do that, I want to highlight a special offering for today's episode. Now, as you are listening to this, it is Monday, July 17th, 2017 is when it goes live. So who knows? Future self, I'm sorry, but this contest, this giveaway no longer pertains to you. But effective midnight, Monday, July 17th, 2017, we are going to be doing an Ever Forward apparel giveaway. All you need to do, like I've done before, is go on to iTunes. You can either do it from your app on your phone or on the iTunes app on your computer. All you need to do to be entered into this giveaway is to go tap on the reviews section if you're on your phone. If you're on your laptop, your computer, you'll find a review option as well in the iTunes app. You want to tap on reviews, and then about midway down the screen in purple print, you're going to see write a review. That's going to pull up another link. Make sure you log into your iTunes account. You want to go ahead and tap 5-star rating and leave a review. Now, I would love to just hear feedback on maybe why this particular episode resonated with you, what you enjoyed, some just particular feedback around my episode here upcoming with my brother, Maxx Chewning, or maybe just in general, what maybe you have enjoyed about this podcast, the content, past guests, past topics. And we're going to sweeten the deal a little bit. Max and I are going to be doing a great giveaway. He is pitching in some amazing Ever Forward apparel for this contest. In order to be entered, all you need to do is go onto iTunes, like I said, tap 5 stars and review. You need to leave both a rating and a review, and you are automatically entered to receive a head-to-toe outfit from EF Apparel. We're going to be doing a hat, a t-shirt, and either a pair of shorts or leggings giveaway. Now, this can be male, female, it doesn't matter. All you need to do is leave a rating, leave a review, let me and Max know how Ever Forward is impacting your life, what you've enjoyed about this interview or past interviews, like I said, and you're going to be entered into that contest. We're going to be doing a full EF Apparel giveaway, and we're going to send some Ever Forward swag your direction. Now, diving into this episode, we are going to get pretty deep. We are going to be learning a lot more about Ever Forward, those two words, an origin story specific to my brother, someone that has really done an incredible job in helping get these two words, this meaning, this why out to the public through his amazing content over on YouTube, Instagram, basically all social media platforms, as well as Ever Forward Apparel. So kind of learning a little bit more around Max as a person. We're not diving too heavily into the science of his strength program or how he got to be able to deadlift so much weight at such a lower weight class, how he is a competitive power lifter, he does YouTube, he does all these amazing things. But this episode is really going to highlight specifically on that passion behind why he does what he does and from where it came. And we get into some amazing topics bouncing back and forth. It was a little bit of a different dynamic interviewing my brother, which I kind of talk about in the intro of the episode, but interviewing anyone that you already know so much about, and my brother and I grew up together. We know everything about each other. It took a little bit of some finesse. So I know this episode, this interview has been requested and long overdue. But like I've said before, I wanted to really just make sure I did this interview justice, that I did this message properly. And I wanted to make sure that I had some time under my belt to, really sit and think about the questions that I wanted to ask Max and the direction I wanted this episode to go, and how I could best make this podcast platform a way to just continue to spread what he's doing. And I really think we did a great job here. Got some great banter, some quirks come through, some stupid, corny tuning jokes. But I think all in all, this is an amazing conversation with an amazing takeaway and some amazing insight from a young man who is just doing an incredible job of putting purpose to passion. So this week we are diving into Ever Forward Radio with the Ever Forward apparel man himself, my brother, Mr. Maxx Chewning. Hey, welcome back everybody to this week's episode of Ever Forward Radio. You're in for a real treat. This week is a special guest and someone who I've been getting some feedback as to why he hasn't been on sooner. And full disclosure, because of the significance of this interview and the significance of this person, I knew that I needed to bank up some time. I needed to get into my groove as an interviewer because I'm talking to my brother, talking to none other than Maxx Chewning, a guy who I literally have known his entire life. And it takes a certain finesse in asking questions and interviewing someone that you already know pretty much everything about. So without further ado, I want to say thanks to Maxx for coming on the radio, coming on the podcast. What's up, brother?
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here. It's been a long time coming. I've been just every day I wake up and I'm like, is he going to ask me today? Doesn't happen. So it does, what matters is that we're here today. Now
you always got to leave him wanting more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm the finale, or not the finale. People got big shoes to fill after this.
It's gonna be
I wear a size 10. So
it's gonna be the season finale cliffhanger.
Yeah.
We'll hook him for next year.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Maxx runs Ever Forward Apparel. He also has a YouTube fitness channel. It's what he does full time. So Maxx, what's kind of your origin story behind what you do now, how you got there, and what is it that Maxx Chewning does?
So, like I said, I'm very much into the YouTube realm. It's something that I've been very, very interested in for many years. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5. I started in early 2013. It's always an interesting thing to think back on because you never know the kind of the path that life will take you. And I definitely didn't think that I'd be posting YouTube videos for a living, 4 or 5 years ago. But it's one of those situations where you just happen to be in a certain place at a certain time. And there was an individual, Nick Wright, who kind of came into my life, who was a YouTuber, and we met, and it's like he moved randomly, and I kind of decided that, hey, like you should get on the internet because your personality is, a little bit wacky and out there, and I was a strong guy, and there was, at the time, there wasn't really someone like me, I guess, with my personality, which is just weird, but I started it about 4 or 5 years ago, and then I kept at it, I made like 4 videos a week for years and years and years, and then it slowly picked up more and more, and I kind of found my groove. I found what I feel that people connected to the most, and I kind of went all in on it, and then I have been a full-time YouTuber for almost exactly a year as of today. So I asked myself, I asked myself for a long time, for a solid like year and a half while I was working. My friends who do the same thing I do, they were pushing me to kind of quit and pursue it full time. And I was, you always think of the risk, you always think if it's gonna, it's worth it. I'm making YouTube videos sounds like a pipe dream, it's like not something that you can sustain, or so I thought. And a year went down. I told myself I'm going to give myself 1 year. I'm going to track my finances, make sure I'm structuring this risk in a way that I know I can support myself. And then I decided that, why not give it 6 months to just try, because I wouldn't know. I could always go back to my job. I left on a good note, and we are 12 months in, and I have not even looked back since the day that I left. So I'm truly living a passion that is something that I didn't think was going to ever come to fruition, and now I wake up every single day and just love what I do.
So Maxx is someone that I kind of have, like I said before, a special insight with. We've grown up together, off and on, as growing up in kind of separate households to a certain extent once our parents divorced. But Maxx and I, until he was about 10 years old, grew up together, and then I was always back and forth visiting and stuff. And I can certainly say that anything this young man puts his mind to, he's just annihilated. He's always been he's had a knack for just putting his mind to something, learning everything about it, learning the ins and outs, intricacies, the risk management, just like you were talking about, and being able to take all of that and put your own version into place and then make it successful. From like our days of building up Jeeps and wheeling to your skateboard videos, to really anything, like I said, you put your mind to, you become extremely good at. So what was it about YouTube, this online content creation that was the same for you, that you could just dive into something like that and just pick it apart and learn how to do it? And what was maybe different about it that you could excel in it so well to a point to where it's your full-time job?
I think I realized when I first started that, you kind of, whenever you start YouTube, you need to have like a thing about you, a niche to kind of like, that separates you, a shtick that, people are like, oh, this is kind of new. Because getting into the fitness world, it's very easy to just be like, I'm a, bodybuilder, or I'm a powerlifter. I'm going to take these people across my journey. And that's fantastic. And it's awesome that everyone wants to share it. But to really, I think, set myself apart, I realized that at the end of the day, people are going to come for like, the cool thing you can do. But I think the most important thing is them coming back because they care about you specifically. And what I did is I kind of switched the way that I was making my videos in more of a vlogging style, where I let people into my life and I kind of, taking them along on my journey, and they see the kind of the transformations that I've gone through in my life, and living a certain way. And now, my life has changed significantly since the day that I started. And I realized that I think being yourself and opening up, and I'm a very out there kind of wacky, not take myself.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
you're weird, dude.
It's like my thing to. I joke about myself. I pick fun of myself. I'm always kind of like, being sarcastic. I'm a very like laid back in terms of like, I don't take things too seriously until the situation is right where I need to. I try not to almost put on a front that, my life is some like epic thing. It's not. I'm a very normal guy who just happens to work out and film it. And I realized that was kind of the angle that I needed to go about it. And, to this day, people for some reason still have not gotten bored of me yet. And I just... Each day, it's easy to overthink social media and YouTube and try to just like be like, I need to do this. I need to always be this because that's what people know me for. And at the end of the day, be yourself, because you can only maintain something, that's not like fluid for you for so long before it's going to become either a chore, you're not going to like it. And so me just being wacky and saying stupid stuff, and I just found a passion for wanting to entertain people and like make people laugh. It's a big part of what I do. I think putting a smile on someone's face is like really, really cool. And a lot of my stuff is probably really cringy, but I think a lot of it as well is just, I try to just make sure that when you click on one of my videos or you see a post from me that, 80% of the time you're going to just, be smiling, laughing. And that's a big part of what I think is important about the content that I deliver to the table and the realm that I'm in.
You've always done that in real life too. As long as I've known Max, he's been like, I will be the first one to tell you, Max is the funniest person I know. And people always compare, like, is it Chase is funny and Max is funny? Max is way funnier than me, and he's done this his whole life as far as just always being able to be wacky, be funny. He's one of the most animated people I know.
Yeah.
So you had no problem doing that, and you even making backyard skate videos and stuff that kind of came over on film. How and why did you take the wackiness of Max and put it in a gym environment? Because I know you always didn't used to work out.
No, I never cared about the gym. My old roommate Tom, one of our close friends, mutual friend, he was my roommate. He got me into working out. And this was about 2 years before, I think about 2 years before I ever started YouTube. But I just fell in love with fitness and working out and seeing progress and getting stronger and thinking I was getting leaner. But really, my first like 2.5 years was embarrassing looking. But at the time, I thought I was the Hulk or a shredded Hulk. But it was just something I fell in love with. And then when I kind of got consumed in the YouTube fitness world, where I was already watching these individuals and I admired that what they're doing, and I thought it was a really cool thing to do. And I just was like, what, I'm a pretty wacky dude, and everyone kind of takes this really, really seriously. And they, I think that there's a point where being motivational is great and having a serious conversation and talk and showing people you do have different sides. And a lot of people may think that I never take anything seriously, but I was like, what, I think it's time for someone like myself to come in and, kind of lighten up the environment where it's not, a life or death situation every time you're bicep curling. It's like you can have fun in the gym. It's not like at the end of the day, if you don't have the biggest biceps or the biggest legs in my case, like it really at the end of the day, like everyone's just trying to get on their own fitness goal and their own fitness journey. And it's easy to compare yourself to all these gigantic bodybuilders. And I was like, I'm I'm just a skinny dude who likes to work out. I'm going to put myself out there, and people seem to connect with it.
And it's not that you like to do it. You're really good at it. How is it that, you know, putting yourself into a world where it literally is like you are your billboard?
Yeah.
You know, you never, well, I think at least maybe started out kind of going the bodybuilder route, trying to just get jack shredded, you know, whatever, bro split. But I mean, you quickly realize that like you're strong as hell, especially in like the deadlift. I mean, the central nervous system is strong with this one.
Yeah, it might snap in half one day, but
yeah, seriously. So I mean, did you just kind of naturally realize that, hey, I'm just really good at this one lift, or did you just like put your mind to this one movement and just excelled in it?
It was really something that I found myself to be like decent at, and obviously I didn't know about the YouTube world when I started out, and I didn't even deadlift honestly for the first couple, probably a year and a half or something. But I think every guy, I mean probably girls as well, I don't know, but like most guys, I feel like when they go in, you lift with your friends and stuff, you always have like friendly competitions about who can lift more, and it's like a, you know, like a competition thing, and you know, every now and then you take it really seriously. But it was just something I always could like deadlift more than my friends, and then but it's not just like deadlift. I didn't like put more emphasis in it. It was just like it was the lift that I realized I was excelling at the quickest. If you could, even like my squat was something that was not very good. My form was, I mean, still not amazing, but I was very bad at squat, and I've progressed significantly in that. The bench press is always something that I'm working on, but I think that the mind is a powerful thing. And then if you really, it was almost like when I would go to do this one lift, I was putting more of my mental power. I'd get a little more angry, and I'd, you know, turn off the wackiness for the 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm like Vin Diesel about to start a race, and every time that I'm that's 5 seconds less, I'm free or whatever.
Do you deadlift for pinks?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
I've actually been meaning to make like a nerd in the gym deadlift video. It has the viral potential, but I execute it correctly. But yeah, I just liked working out, and then just put myself on the internet. And then,
what was it like going from something that you had no interest in doing and didn't like to do, and it literally did a complete 180?
I think it's a prime example of like you never know the path that your life's going to take. I mean, if you would ask, you know, you, my brother, you know, my friends, my close friends, especially the ones that they knew me really well or lived with me, especially before I started working out. I mean, you would never in a million years think that the person I was from in 2000 and, you know, whatever, freshman in college or senior in high school, and then even sophomore in college, that I'd turn it into something that would be like consume my life. And it's just, that's why I think you should never always assume that the one thing you're doing now is going to be the one thing that you're going to be interested in a couple of years. And I'm in love with this whole social media fitness thing that I'm in. You know, will it be what I enjoy loving to do in 5 years? I have no idea. I mean, it just is what it is. And the posts and just always trying to find this angle to improve. And I even would say you kind of become obsessed with it. And you know, it does change who you are. And I think it's important to accept the change and not let it consume you into a negative way. But I think it's something that I can balance. But definitely while I was trying to balance my job and everything at the same time, I was, you know, pushing away a lot of friends and family because I was so focused on this YouTube thing because I didn't know what the big picture was. I remember I was dating a girl back in college, and it was right when I started YouTube, and she would always ask me kind of like, you know, what's the, like, you're always, I would not hang out.
What's the point?
Yeah, and I'd be like, you know, oh, I can't hang out right now. Like, I'm editing a video. I got to go to the gym. I'm like filming all this stuff. And like, she didn't understand it. And I always would tell her, I was like, I don't know what the point, like, I don't know. It's not benefiting me right now, but I was like, I know that the path that I'm doing is the way that I get to where I want to go. But I don't know what the end result is. I didn't know that I'd be doing it full time and, you know, traveling the world doing it. I was just like filming myself working out. So
how do you explain to others who don't understand your vision, or how would you say to anyone really who has a vision? They may not have an answer, but they have a vision. How would you have them explain to the people around them to best be a part of that, to best be conducive so that they can be supportive of their friend, their family, their loved one, but also at the same time, you know, not be pushed away?
I think you have to kind of find that balance, because, I mean, there's a fine line with people, you know, not understanding the passion that you specifically have. But I think that at the end of the day, you need to surround yourself with people who are going to support whatever it is that you do. And obviously, I had a lot of friends that would, you know, poke fun at, especially when I started, you know, like working out in the gym, filming myself, bicep curls, whatever, being obsessed with it, you know, taking my shirt off in my room and putting it on the internet. Like, Yeah, it's weird when you say
it's
that.
weird when you say it out loud.
And social media had not. I got in at a certain time where like social media had not blown up. Like it wasn't like it is now. Now it's everyone from my high school is probably doing shirtless selfies and like. And a lot of my friends would poke fun and when I'd go out, they'd be like, "Oh, why aren't you filming right now?" or whatever. And there's some people that would be joking and still supportive of what I do. And at the end of the day, if I choose to do this over that, they're going to support it. But really, if people aren't willing to like accept whatever it is that you're really passionate about, you kind of ask yourself like, how much value are they bringing to my life? And there's a balance to all of that. And I don't think you need to be pushing out all your friends at all, but I think there definitely can come a point where you need to ask yourself, is this person, regardless of how much value do they bring into my life? Am I providing them value? Are they providing me value, or are they bringing me down? Are they not allowing me to excel in what I'm doing because they are so closed-minded, or they almost don't like the idea of you doing something out of the norm, where they're going to be kind of negative about it? And you need to ask, maybe not surround yourself with those people so much, or maybe need to find a circle of friends who do something, who have the same vision as you. I mean, I've made some of the best friends of my life in the past, a couple years doing this YouTube thing, and they're all over the country and all over the world. And, and I would consider them just as good as friends as people that I've, known for 10 years.
What's it like going from watching people on this one platform, social media, online, YouTube, whatever, and like now, like you text them every day? What's it like from just watching someone and actually being a part of their life? It's
definitely interesting. I mean, especially people like Christian, who I met. I've been watching him for about a year. A lot of other individuals, Nick Wright, Matt Ogus, Scott Herman, are people that like I would watch religiously, and now like, I have their phone numbers, and like I'm chatting with them when I go to expos, and we're going to get food. We hang out. It's like,
taking vacations together.
Yeah, and it's just a crazy thing that you can go from someone who admired them to being like a peer to them and being a friend to them. And I think it's just cool. Like it's a cool thing. Like you already feel so connected with these people anyway. I feel like you can kind of see like, hey, I'd get along with this person, and then you happen to kind of do the same things, and it opens up a lot of just great friendships.
It's like, what? Did we just become best friends?
That's exactly.
And then you go in the garage and do kung fu, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, there's even individuals that I've been watching for a long time that they've kind of like almost like fallen off, like doing the same thing I'm doing, like, and it's like I've like surpassed them, and not like a cocky way. It's just crazy to think.
Why do you think that is? Why have others kind of fallen off?
I think people fall off a huge reason because people get content with doing the same thing, and they find one way that works, and they never want to get away from that. I know
they do get content.
Yeah. They get content with doing the same thing over and over again, and they're like, oh, this is working for me. But I think individuals that are really succeeding in the industry that I'm in, and I would like to think myself as well, because my social media, I mean, it's been consistently, some may be slower than others, but it consistently increases. It doesn't, I haven't like plateaued. I haven't, flatlined. And I think the biggest thing is, innovating and adapting and changing. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not doing this. This is just the trendy thing. And like, at the end of the day, you need, like, if you don't adapt, like, you'll die in a sense. Like absolutely. You have to get out of your comfort zone and do things, especially for people who like YouTube. They're like, I'm a vlogger. I'm only going to film my life. I'm not going to go do things for YouTube. But if you really want to put 100% into it, you need to be like, how can I take everything I'm doing to this next level? Like, how long can someone watch this certain thing that I'm doing and not get bored? Like, I get bored filming the same things every day. That's why I try to travel so much, because I have the ability to. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, like, I see a lot of channels who are wildly successful, and they just film videos just in the gym. They get tons more. They probably have tons more followers, tons more views, and they are just filming in the gym. And I'm over here, doing everything in my power to go get these different things, because I get bored of filming just like in the gym. And so I think it's important also to like find what pushes you. And big thing with me is I think I've really found a love for being creative with my content. It's something that I enjoy the filming and the editing, and I enjoy doing it all. It's not a chore to me.
Yeah, and that's been something you've been good at for a long time. I mean, I mentioned earlier about me making skateboarding videos. We used to film our off-road adventures. So you, on the other side of the camera, is definitely something that's not new. Maybe just the actual, the editing platforms have changed. But so you had been developing the skill for a long time.
Yeah, I've always, I guess even when I was like 15, 16, and then again when I was older, like I'd always had an interest in filming I was like the filmer for our skateboard group. I had a whole bunch of really high quality cameras that were high quality at the time, and I would film and edit and use editing programs. And I don't know. I just, when I get like obsessed with something, it kind of consumes me. So like I got obsessed with skateboarding back then. I was never really amazing at it, but with YouTube and editing, it's something that like, oh, I realized like this is a lot of fun to do. And then you started getting obsessed with like learning new ways to do it and seeing what other people are doing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. I'm always like analyzing, the trends of, edits and vlogs and color correction and
sick angles.
And it really is. It's a trademark right there. But I think
he kills it with the sick angles.
It's all it takes is a certain individual or group of people to step up the quality or the content in any level, and then what that does is everyone else who's not doing the same thing, unless you have a crazy something about you that really sets you apart. Like if you're somewhat normal like me, like if you're not like a 300-pound dude with like 20-inch arms, like then it's like your content's going to look like you don't put in the effort, because like, why are these people
leveling up?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the people were like, oh, I'm not going to do all this, like that's just fluff and all. Like at the end of the day, what works is what works, and people always want to see you putting in work and putting in the effort to what you're doing. And I mean, it is what it is. YouTube has changed. I mean, when I started, it was 5 to 6 minute videos of just, hey, what's up, guys? It's commentary. I'm in the gym working out, and then you wrap it up, and the whole video is that. And now I'm spanning across 2 days, flying across the country, spending 4 hours editing. Like it's changed a lot, but I accept the change, and it's not something that I think is a negative. So I love it.
Well, there's lots of change to it, and what you mentioned something earlier about innovation, or the need to innovate. And I think you did a great job like introducing yourself, like Max, as a totally different person into the YouTubes and the whole kind of fitness community that was growing several years ago. But I mean, you introduced something that really, I know, and we all know at this point, was a huge innovation, and not just introducing a new product, but introducing a new why. And so I love to kind of hear your thought process behind choosing the platform that you did, YouTube, and presenting this message of Ever Forward, because it's not just slapping your name on a t-shirt, but actually putting a reason, a why behind it. And so how did that come about, and what's that been like? How's it been received from your demographic, your people that you reach?
Well, YouTube is obviously the best absolute way to really connect to people. You can only say so many words in a photo or a tweet or something like that.
Sure.
So I think YouTube is the ultimate platform. So that was a no-brainer to introduce something as big as Ever Forward, the message and then the apparel, like through that platform. I decided I wanted to separate myself as a brand. I used to make these like weird T-shirts where I put like my deadlift bra, and it was like a silhouette of me.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Silhouette of me, and it was like funny and like all this stuff. But I was like, what? I'm ready to kind of take things up a notch, and I want to create something that is more than me. And from a business aspect of it, I was like, there's only so many people that are going to want to put my silhouette on their body, like on a T-shirt. Like
sure, yeah.
At the end of the day, and
you need a standalone product.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to create something, and then I was like, and when I was thinking of it, I was like, it doesn't make any sense to use anything else. A lot of people, I think, when they create brands, are like, okay, what's a sick logo? What are people going to flock to?
Cool phrase.
Yeah, a cool phrase, and like it, and they're kind of creating a mantra out of like thin air, because they're whatever that is. And I think it's cool to create these things, and like you could create something that could be as impactful as Ever Forward is to me and my my family. Like you could do that, but I think a lot of people do it to sell something, and that's where they're going to fail, because they're like I don't know, some whatever they want to call it. They're like, this means this, but like they create that. For me, it was very organic and natural, because I was like, here's a message. And it's like I'm telling you what it means to me, and I'm telling you why I chose this, and it has such a history to me. So creating, putting that on a brand, I think was like, it made the most sense in the world, because it wasn't something I just thought up out of thin air. It was like something that's already been in my life, and I basically just delivered. I remember the first video that I made for Ever Forward, kind of announcing Ever Forward as itself. I was very important to me to present this video and present Ever Forward not initially as a clothing brand. It was the first time I talk about it. Like I probably hinted like the things are coming. Oh, I'm making shirts, but like when I was ready to introduce it as a brand, I didn't want it to like be like and Ever Forward t-shirts. Like it wasn't about that. It was here's the message, here's what it means to me, and here's why I'm making this, you know, kind of the backbone to Maxx Chewning. And then once that was well received, I was like, okay, you know, now that people have, you know, hopped on board and they understand why I've chosen this, now let's try to, you know, put something that people can, you know, when they t-shirts are a thing that a lot of fitness people do, and you know, everyone says like everyone does t-shirts, but the reason is because it's one of the most realistic products to create. Like, you know, we're not going to create televisions and like cameras and like it's just like a t-shirt. Like people are.
It's an obvious go-to.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes the most sense. And so I what's great about clothing is that I think when you create a brand, you need to create it for either that your product is, you know, light years of like, you always got to ask yourself, like, why are people going to buy mine over someone else's? Like, why? A lot of people be like, hey, Max, I want to start a clothing brand, and what's your advice? And I'm almost like, why do you want to start a clothing brand?
Why would they buy from you?
Yeah, exactly. Like you need, be like, oh, because I have a sick logo. Be like, there's plenty of sick logos out there. You know, oh, because like the quality's really good. Everyone has good quality, right? So I was like, the angle that I was going at it, and the business side of it was, you know, why not create a clothing that has a message that people can connect to? So when they put that on, you know, yes, I want the quality to be there. Yes, I want, you know, whatever that goes along with a t-shirt, right? But I wanted them to choose that apparel, shirt, because of what it represented. You know, some people obviously purchase it, I think, to maybe just support me directly. But I think a lot of people choose it because it is, like, they've connected with the brand. And I think it's very, very important.
When you put the shirt on, when you put your shirt on, how do you connect to the brand? When you throw on your Ever Forward apparel,
it kind of reminds me of how far, like how like deep in this thing I am, and how like far that I've come from when I started. And it's something that I take a lot of pride in wearing, a lot of pride in representing, and it's something that it's almost like every time that it just sounds lame to say, but like every time that I put on a t-shirt Ever Forward, something that like I've created, like it's a reminder that, like, you know, why am I doing this? Like, why am I creating this clothing? Why am I pushing this message out? And it's a reminder that it kind of grounds me to not deviate from the original purpose of it, of positivity, and like to have a backbone to the brand and to give back, and like I donate, and like it's always important to me to not let the success of the brand outweigh like my morals and ethics that go along with me as a man and me as a business owner, to not, you know, let things get to my head. And that's
I think that's a really big takeaway. I mean, I think it's obvious in everything that you do and promote on your YouTube channels, whether it's just you in the gym, whether it's, you know, you doing an EF post on Instagram, you know, whatever that looks like. I mean, that is very obvious and comes across. I'll share with you, for me, I mean, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't listened to the first episode of Ever Forward Radio, Ever Forward is something that, you know, again, this is just, you know, kind of my take on it. I'd be curious to see kind of how it was instilled and grew with you. It was just something that your parents just say. It was something that our dad said, and I just thought it was like, okay, this is just my dad telling me this phrase because it's supposed to help me be a better person. And this is just a dad doing his dad job, right? And I mean, what we went through was tough. Yeah. Losing a parent in any way, shape, or form is definitely difficult, but definitely through ALS and through, Lou Gehrig's disease, you visually watch them deteriorate. And so that connection, that meaning was kind of lost on me for a while. Like in the beginning, when his initial illness, in the first, honestly, several years after he passed, it was just like, I used it, I said it, I put it on my license plate just because I wanted to just have something to kind of remember my parent by. But I mean, honestly, man, for me, the past 2 years, I've learned what it means. It's not just a phrase that we got from our dad. It's not just something that looks good on a t-shirt, but it means something to me. It is my life. So how has that transition been for you? I mean, because we were both young. I was 19, you were 14. What's it like going from just hearing this positive phrase that your parent tries to instill in you to now literally living, breathing, walking, live it in every way, shape, or form?
I think it's very similar to what you said in terms of like, Dad would say it, and Dad would kind of preach it, but very much so of, hey, be a good person, live, ever forward. Like it was just something that he did indeed say. And then for many years, I don't say like I lost it, but it just wasn't kind of like a thing I was always thinking about. It wasn't like I was just kind of living. I wasn't necessarily trying to always be improving. I was just accepting where I'm at and letting things happen instead of making moves and
idling.
Yeah, exactly.
I was the same, man.
I actually talk about this in a video coming up where people always want to get to X point in X amount of time, and they just assume that time is going to be the only factor that's going to get them to that point. They just assume things are going to fall in line, and I think life has a way of working itself out. But
I think time's the answer.
Yeah, correctly. Whether it be you're making X at your job and you want to make X, you just assume like, okay, in 5 years I'm going to be making this, but it's like why you're going to do that, and I think that the longer the people wait and the longer the people idle, the further that point you want to get to is going to get away, and you always just assume it's like, oh no, I got to keep waiting, got to keep doing the same thing, and like I don't know the person that said the quote, but it's like if you do the same thing over and over again, you expect different results. Like it's that's how you drive.
The definition of insanity.
Yeah, and I realized that why not take something I love to do, take something that was important to me, obviously our dad and our family, and find a way to spread a positive message that is instilled in our family that I kind of fell out of touch with for many years.
Yeah.
And now it's impactful into people's lives, and it means something. And like when I hear the message, I always think of it one way, but like when I get like just messages of people who are sick or get like tattoos or like the stories that I hear at expos and like just like the way like I'm like, this is real. This is not like a cool logo or a cool brand that people are like, oh, sick. Like it really connects with people. And I think it's so awesome. Like it's amazing the impact that something that, had X factor on me, and it's like almost tenfold what like you spread it out into the world. And
the gravity of that is so unexpected.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so when something's so well received, I think things are so well received when the way that they're delivered is honest and true, and the backbone to it is real. I think a lot of people can grow a brand, but I think it's even more important to grow like a message, like a mantra, like a an entity almost, like it's its own thing, like because it means something. It's not. There's no definition of ever forward. There's no definition of what it means. It's like here's what it means to me. What does it mean to you? Mm-hmm. And everyone has something that they're working towards, that they have this ever forward mentality where they like, I want to improve, I want to do better. Maybe they're sick, maybe they're overweight, maybe it's a gym thing, maybe it's a relationship thing, maybe it's a family thing, and like it's so insane. So it's so much more than just like what it is. Like it's insane, and like the support has been overwhelming. For the past. I guess I announced it like 3 years ago, 2014 August. So,
what if any has been like negative kickback from it? I mean, I think it's really, you would be hard pressed to find anyone to say anything bad behind a significant message instead of just like you said, not just trying to sell a product or something. But
I think the biggest thing that, like I said earlier, how I said it's very important to me to not lose the reason why I started the brand.
Yeah.
And the biggest downfall of using something that's so personal to me is that you're always going to, I try to never deliver it in this way, but there's always people that are going to assume that you are using a loss in your life as an advantage to exploit and make money from it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that is why the vision that I have for it is so important to me to grow it in a way that is as a business is successful and improves, because at the end of the day, the business side of it you need to, but it's also getting the message out there, and everything that I do in my life, like I want to represent the brand and represent the message. And there's people out there that think that we would exploit a death in our family to sell more clothing or sell more thing, and that's a terrible thing to think. and there's always going to be people that are going to be against what you're doing. But I guess that'd be the only kickback that I would get, is that, you're using a sickness. And I talk about how I donate a portion of proceeds, and I've been doing it since day one, and I'm going to be doing it until the end. And a lot of people will assume that I donate to push more sales. Like, oh, like now you're. It's just an awkward thought to have, that people would like assume you're doing something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely bound to happen.
Yeah.
So the outside looking in aside, I mean, I'm sure that's probably, I wouldn't say a struggle, but something that's always on your radar. So how do you balance going about scaling a business, because this is your life now, this is your job, your means of income, and your profession. So how do you balance scaling that aspect and maintaining the integrity of this why that you have become so involved with?
It's walking that fine line. I think it's every day when I promote it as a brand, or as promoted as a new item, I always, I try to somewhat have a reason why I did that. I mean, I'm very much in the apparel game. I'm interested in the apparel, but one thing that I try to do, it may not seem like a huge thing, is, but I truly try not to just slap the logo onto everything, to make money.
It'd be so easy to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I get questions about like, hey Max, hey, when are you gonna make like sports bras for women, or like wrist straps, or belt, or
I've been waiting for the sports bras.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't think that aligns with the brand, like, as weird as it is, and I'm not saying never, but it's just like there's certain things that I try. It's hard, because I want it to grow as a business. I love seeing it grow as a business. It's taught me a ton. Yeah, and to just always never lose sight of it, and I think that's why I want it to get big, but I need to almost control the growth of it, because I never want it to get to something where I just look at it as a way to make money. And biggest thing for me is always reinvesting back into it, and not using the income from ever forward to go buy fancy things. Like I have other means of income for that, and honestly, except for now the business of the gym and having an office, like I don't use that. I don't use the money that I get from Everforward. It goes back into itself. It grows and expands. I have a lot of like charitable ideas in the future that I want to kind of expand on, and beyond just giving money. And I want to do cool things with the brand that can spread awareness that aren't just for financial means. And so it's important to me, and kind of thinking big term. But
what's next for you? What's like the rest of 2017, looking in 2018, what is like your next biggest challenge in YouTube fitness or Everforward? It's
innovating. It's thinking outside the box in the industry that I'm in, and asking myself, how can I step it up a notch? Like I've seen a lot of people who kick it up. I mean, Christian's a great example of, he's always kind of pushing the envelope, and I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to push the envelope. I want to do something that people are like, what the hell? Like,
you push the envelope all by yourself. I mean, I think that's something, I haven't mentioned that yet. I mean, like you mentioned, Christian Guzman, he's got a great team that he works with.
Yeah.
A lot of other people who are in this at this level, it's not just them. They've got a camera guy, they got a logistics guy. I mean, you from day one have been your operations, your manager, your human resources. So, I mean, how do you balance all of that and still be able to to grow, taking on this huge endeavor solo?
I'm almost to the point where I getting help is great. And I think at a certain point, like you're not going to be able to do everything by yourself if you want to expand it in a certain aspect, because obviously in a business aspect, as soon as you start delegating tasks, you start delegating trust into other individuals to mess up, and then you're going to take a revenue cut from whatever you're making, because now you got to pay these people, and then you have to pay for errors that they make when you're like, maybe I wouldn't have made that error. And it's important to, but I think for a business to grow, you eventually need to, you can't do it all yourself. And I've started getting some help with even something simple as like packing orders, because the volume that Everforward does, like I can't pack thousands of orders and still make content and do customer service, and I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And put out because YouTube for me is my main priority. It's my baby, and it's something I take very seriously in terms of I'm not late on my content. I always deliver my content. I feel one of the most consistent YouTubers in what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've put up a video every other day at the exact same time for the past like 2.5 years. I don't miss a time. I don't miss an upload. I make sure that the people are going to, if I say I'm going to have it this, and I'm very, very consistent. I don't go days without uploading. It's just not.
That's amazing for something that is free. I mean, the diligence and, self-control really that it takes to be in a world where you literally are your own boss. You control your day-to-day activities, but still hold yourself to a standard to ultimately provide this, when you really get down to it, free content for people.
Yeah.
Of course, that free content does lead to other opportunities that have enabled you to be where you are today. But, still, what's it like getting people pissed off when maybe one day you're late? Maybe one day the internet breaks and your upload doesn't go up until like noon instead of 9 a.m.
And it's at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really matter. I think what's important to me is if I tell someone I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so if I say I'm going to upload at this time on this day, it's going to be up at that exact second. Like, unless there's a technical error, it's not because I get lazy. It's important to me that people can trust me and that people know that my content's coming. And like, it's just, realistically, if I was to miss a video, if I was to be like, guys, for this like 4-day weekend, and when I'm going to Miami soon, like, I'll also upload a video after it. Like, I'm gonna go enjoy it. I'll film it. I'm not gonna edit and stuff. And people would be like, oh, okay. And like, at the end of the day, but like, I almost hold myself at a higher like standard level of content delivering.
Yeah.
And luckily, because I've been doing it for so long, I always find a way to get it done. Like, I always find a way to get video up. I may be more proud of certain videos than other in terms of, the entertainment value that was delivered. But it's just something that I've learned to balance. But I think at the end of the day, if you have a schedule, it helps you as an individual. And I think it helps you with business and everything because you have, structure to your life. And it's very easy in the life that I live to, when you're in your own boss, like, if you want to be like, I'm gonna take a day off, I'm gonna lay in my bed all day on a Wednesday, like, you're more than you can do that. And there's definitely been days where I've been lazy and I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of detox today, I'm gonna take a day off, and it might even happen like 2 days in a row, but like at the end of the day I'm like I gotta get content up, and I gotta go out, I gotta do something, I gotta wake up, I gotta do all this thing. And when you are your own boss, it's very important to have structure to what you do and to also hold yourself accountable to what you say you're gonna do.
Kind of getting close to wrapping up, I think it's apparent, and anyone who's watched your content and knows anything about you, they have taken on this message in their own way. They have seen, like, there's this wacky guy lifting heavy plates off the ground. There's this guy who has made this really cool, comfortable fitting t-shirt. But there's also this guy who has taught me something about myself. There's this guy who has shown me how to overcome adversity, how to make the obstacle the way, to really just turn that adversity into an advantage. And so what do those two words mean to you? Because it's really apparent in how you deliver that to other people for them to find their own meaning. But, really, outside of, you have some great videos that show the origin and, visually explaining what it means to you. But, just outside of the gym, outside of YouTube, just Maxx Chewning, 20... Damn, how old are you now? 27?
27, yeah.
You're getting old, dude.
Yeah.
What do those two words mean to you as a 27-year-old man right now?
I think, there's a million ways I can describe it, but I think that the most important factor I take away from the message of Everforward is that we are all capable of doing insane things, great things, things that can change other people's lives, things that can change your own life. And I think a lot of people are too afraid to take risks and to take action, and they get caught in this comfort bubble that they're in. And, ever since I started YouTube and ever since I really Everforward became a part of my life, it made me live it in every single day. And just realizing that I don't want to live an average life. I don't want to live the life that my school teachers told me that this is like how you need to be and this is how you to live, because I think that's wrong. And I think that everyone can live a life of freedom and just like live on their own means. I think it's possible in some way, shape, or form. And I think when people truly find how they can almost like be free, what like scares them to hold them back, I think that's when like you realize that you're living the life. Like, I wake up every day and I love what I do, and I try to spread a positive message. And the words "ever forward" always keep me motivated to progress and to not do the same thing, and to always be moving forward, like in my life. And it's been something that on days where I'm feeling like, hey, I don't think that I can, how long can I keep doing what I'm doing? Like, and I'm like, you know what? Let's kick it up a notch. Let's do something innovative. Let's change the game. Let's do something that people haven't seen before. And you're not going to do that every single day, but I think every single day you should have the mindset that you can achieve true greatness.
Yeah, absolutely.
In yourself. Like, in whatever avenue, everyone can do some cool ass things. Like, if you're not happy with where you are, if you're not happy with the things that you're doing, whether they be job, relationship, income, whatever it is, like your living situation, I think that, like, if you truly ask yourself, like, why am I unhappy? Why am I doing the same thing every day?
Have those brutally honest conversations with yourself.
Yeah, and taking the leap. And I think the biggest leap that I've ever made in my life was quitting my job to pursue something that I love to do. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. I remember the day before I did it, I called our mom and asked her what she thought, and she said I wouldn't do it. Like, how you gonna make money? Like, all this stuff. And I was almost calling. I expected her to be supportive of it. I expected her to be like, hey, go for it.
Go for it. Yeah,
dream.
sure,
And like her first response was, I wouldn't do it. And like, but in my head, like, as soon as she said that, I was like, honestly, like, I don't care. Like,
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, I was like, I'm almost calling you to tell you that I'm doing it, actually. But
this is just a courtesy call.
Yeah, and it
no
was,
disrespect, Mom.
It was the scariest. It was the scariest and best thing that I've ever done in my life. And looking back, I have no doubt in my mind that I made the right decision. And the path that I'm on, I think, is going to be the path to motivate other people, inspire other people, entertain other people in whatever avenue that I do. And I just think if you can wake up and you're healthy and you can do what you love, that's the life everyone wants to live.
So speaking of living a life ever forward, that's usually my last question I ask my guests is, how does you being you, how do your products, how do your services help others live a life ever forward? But I want to change it a little bit because I can't think of a better source than coming from you. So the listeners right now, you're in a position, you want to make a change, you need to make a change, you're not happy, you're on the fence basically. How would you tell someone in that position, this is how you need to live your life ever forward?
I think that if you truly have, like, trust in yourself and trust in the process of whatever leap you want to make and whatever obstacle you need to overcome, I think if you dream it, you can do it. I think it's a great phrase. And a lot of the time, the juice is always worth the squeeze, and the risk is generally worth the reward.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I can say is if anything that you want to do, if there is someone else out there in the world that has done it, you bet your ass you can do it too. No one is better than you. No one is more skilled than you. You are who you are, and if someone else can do it, so can you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, Max, everything that he has accomplished, and like I said, I've always been amazed at what you, brother, can do when you put your mind to it, because you don't become good at it. You become really freaking great at it.
I think it's important. I think if you want to get good at something, become obsessed with it.
Absolutely.
Find every angle about it and find a way to make it your own. Yeah.
And his tenacity and his go-gettingness, if that's even a thing, has definitely been one of the inspirations behind, what I'm doing now. Literally just seeing him take the leap and wanting to just go headfirst into this world that he knew he was great at was, you were a big catalyst for what really sparked me wanting to do this podcast and to branch off and to not just think it, but to truly live it and in all avenues, to really put purpose to passion. And so, in that sense, your older brother has been inspired by you for years.
Well, I think it's very easy to like always have an idea, but it's the people that take action onto it and turn it into reality. Those are the game changers. Those are the people that are doing it. And it's very easy to be scared. It's very easy to be, what if I fail? But like, at the end of the day, like, I promise, like, in most situations, like, you'll be okay. I mean, obviously, financial struggles or financial worry, I think, is the biggest thing that most people have on their mind. You know, will I be able to sustain life? And there's definitely a calculation you need to take, and there was structure to when I took the risk of quitting my job. But, you know, I didn't know. I didn't know if I'd succeed at it. I had money saved up, and I was, you know, making X amount of my job. And a lot of times, take the risk, try it out, because you really won't know if you don't try.
Yeah, and I think, you know, kind of in closing, this really echoes something that I don't know if I've said on the podcast, but just I know I've said many times before, and that you may know the path, you may see the path, you may have this end goal, this vision down the line, and you don't know every step of the path. But I promise you, take the first step, because when you do, all the steps following that will become so much more clear.
Yeah.
All you have to do is take that first step towards action, and you will shed the fear. You will realize this isn't as bad or as scary, or, you know, maybe it is, which can be a good thing. It really shows you where you need to grow, the resources you need to allocate, who to keep in your life, who not to keep in your life. That first step is really what you need to do.
I think a lot of people always, like, are worried that they don't know what they're doing, but trust me, like, most people, at the end of the day, like, we're all figuring out this life thing as we go, and, like, you know, every day there's things that I'm like, damn, like, you know, how, like, what am I going to do about this situation? I'm like, you know what, let's get cracking, find a solution, and, like, you just learn. Like, I've learned more about myself, and learned more about business, and learned more about just finding who I am. And, you know, I feel like my purpose on, you know, at this point in my life is to do what I do. And, you know, and I think that the path that I'm on now will lead me to what's next in my life. And I don't know what that is. I could be doing this for the next 15 years. I have no idea. And a lot of people always worry that they go after something and that something is going to peak. And I think if you always assume that something is going to come to its, you know, climax, or it's going to end, or it's never going to get better than this, like, you know,
then you're always looking for it.
Yeah. If you're like, oh, it's going this well, but if you take this leap, like, you know, it's not going to get better than that. Don't chase after that, because, like, there's no way it can get better than that. And then when you do, then you're like, you know what, screw you. Like, I'm going to go after it, and you do it, and you get this big. And then there's always the people. People are very open to loving the idea and being very supportive of you wanting to go after something, but you'll quickly find that the people change their minds when they see that you're actually going after something and you're actually succeeding, because it shows them that, like, wow, he took a risk, and now they're reserved, because you know, that it's not that they don't support you as much, but they're almost like, they're like, damn, he actually did something and he's doing well at it. But, like, oh, it's not going to get better than that. Like, that's going to fall out in X amount of years. But, like, why does it have to? Why does it have to? And I think you won't know till you try. You can always, I think there's always fallbacks in life. I think if you have a good head on your shoulders and you have a good vision, you're a good person, you have good ethics and morals, I really think you can do no wrong. I think you can do great things, put your mind to it, and, you know, the only thing stopping you is, you know, your own fear.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, man. Well, luckily in our case, we have two very handsome heads on our shoulders. Yeah. And sometimes we make good decisions, so we got that going for us. But, you know, again, Maxx is available on YouTube, Instagram. You can find Everforward Apparel. I'll link everything down in the show notes below. But truly an example of someone who has taken adversity and turned it into an advantage, from the business aspect, from the entrepreneur aspect, but just from excelling in life aspect. I mean, it's apparent from day one to now that value, that why, has not been lost on you. And I mean, you're always someone that, if I ever have a question about, you know, should I be pursuing this? Should I be doing that? I mean, I literally look to you all the time. So, and I know I'm not the only one. You're a great example of living a life ever forward.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for being on the podcast, bro.
Of course. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. And
what's it like talking into something that doesn't record video, just staring at this little itty bitty mic?
It's a little interesting. So, you know, we're adapting as we go and spreading the good word.
Absolutely. So that's going to be a wrap for Everforward Radio with Maxx Chewning. We'll see you next time. Thank you all so much for joining me again this week. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode and its message. As always, if you have found value in Everforward Radio, sharing this and leaving it a 5-star rating and review on iTunes is the best way for this message to continue to reach others. Thanks again, and I truly hope that this content helps you live a life ever forward.